I'm Lena Zelenz. I'm 20 years old and I go to Cal State Long Beach. Yeah, my biggest hobby is, I have two biggest hobbies, which would be art and reading. Art is my major. I've always been really into that, drawing, painting, and then I also work at Barnes & Noble, so reading also ties into my job. That's been a big one. That's a good question. I mean, usually it'll probably start like the day before, going to bed early, making sure I take melatonin, making sure that I have a good breakfast, good food. I never used to worry about that, but I think it makes a really big difference. And then I have a lot of anxiety coping strategies that I use, because if I'm anxious, I'm gonna mess up regardless. Yeah, I'm really big on journaling. I journal a lot. I keep it in my car. So before I go in, I always get everywhere early. And then before I go in, usually I journal a little bit in my car. I have a lot of breathing techniques. I do square breathing, which is where you breathe up is in and then you hold, and then I do bilateral tapping, which helps regulate your nervous system. So yeah. The biggest would be my mental health. I struggled a lot with that through all of my teenage years, honestly my whole life, but it got really bad a few years ago, and then I ended up getting sent to residential treatment for 10 months, and that was really hard. And one of the programs that I went to was not very ethical, and that one I was at for 8 months left me with a lot of trauma from that. And after coming home, it was just hard to reintegrate back into being a free person in the world, basically. So that has been the hardest thing, probably. And then I was still dealing with the effects of that for a while, but recently I've started to finally feel healthy, and that's really amazing. Yeah, I think that the biggest shift that happened for me was basically wanting to get better, because I used to kind of think that something was going to come in and swoop in and save me. Basically, I always used to think I would just go to therapy and I wouldn't have to do anything uncomfortable, and they would fix what was wrong with me, basically. But I came to the realization that it's largely within my control what I do to help myself, and pushing myself out of my comfort zone is so big. I've done a lot of exposure therapy and just doing things that are hard on purpose, because that's the only way that I'll be able to live a better quality of life and tackle things that are going to be even harder in the future. So honestly, just self-motivation has been the biggest thing. I would say kind of the same thing. You have to want it, You have to really come to terms with what recovery is going to look like for you, and it's a daily thing. You have to make decisions that seem really small on the daily, like going to bed at a certain time, deciding that you're going to follow through with something even though you're scared. It seems like it's not going to make a difference, but it snowballs really quickly. So, yeah. For me, a lot of accomplishments have been maybe things that don't seem like such a big deal to other people, like getting my driver's license, for example. That was really something that took me a long time. And also getting into college, graduating high school on time, even though I was gone for a year, was hard. Just being independent, moving out from my family, going to school, but juggling school and a job and having a dog, living on my own. I didn't think those things would necessarily be possible for me because of the struggles that I've had and the lack of independence that I had. So, yeah. Short term would have to be getting good grades, making sure that I have enough money to get through college, graduating, getting my degree. Long term, I'm still figuring out exactly what I want to do with my degree. I'm only in my second year, so I need to figure that out. But I want to, be self-sufficient, be able to keep living on my own, and support myself after college, so yeah. It would have to be my dad, because he is so hardworking but also so gentle. Like, he's the kind of guy that cries on everyone's birthday, you know, which is really good to see, I think. And he's been a great role model for me, as well as my mom, because she had a really, really tough life. She's been through a lot, and it's really amazing to see her be able to have a family and be able to, you know, live her life. I think that's really inspiring to me. Success, I think that, you know, that definitely varies person to person. For me, success is just feeling healthy, feeling fulfilled, feeling like I have the resources to do what I need to do on a day-to-day, you know what I mean? And feeling like I can depend on myself. If I'm in a difficult situation, I know that I'm gonna be able to handle it. So yeah. What makes me the most happy? There's so many things. I get happy very easily, but I think would have to be probably nature, the natural world. I thought I was going to study biology for a while because of how much I love, like, insects is my biggest thing that I'm really interested in. But I just find it so fascinating and amazing. Like, nature has so many different innovations and stuff that, like, if it was invented by humans, we would be like, that's insanely cool. But it just happens, and I think that's really awesome. So that probably is what brings me the most joy, just observing that. I think it would be to be gentler with each other. I think everybody needs to think about that. I think that, you know, there's so many different motivations, money, success, power, whatever, but I think that in general, people need to be more considerate of how those things are going to impact the world, other people, nature, the environment, stuff like that. I just think more compassion and more humanity over, like, profit, basically.